Okay, I'm calling a special session of Book Cover Court because I have to talk about Suzanne Collins' Sunrise on the Reaping, the sequel to the first book in the sequel trilogy to Hunger Games. And let's talk about it. I really wanted to talk about this cover pretty much the instant it was revealed, but people were very excited about the announcement of the book, which I totally understand. I love The Hunger Games. It was one of those books that helped get me back really into the swing of reading after a time being away from books for a while. So it holds a really special place in my heart. So when I saw this book cover the other day, I couldn't believe it. Like my brain kind of broke a little bit because I think it is an unfortunately and spectacularly ugly cover. If you like this book cover, please do not feel any certain way about this. This is just my own personal opinion as a designer with many years of experience. So let's take a look at this book. Now, the good stuff. It uses the same kind of typeface and stuff, which I think was pretty much successful with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But really, pretty much there it ends. I mean, I do like the color purple. I think that was a nice color. It's a nice shade of purple. And there it pretty much ends because this central illustration just does not work for me in multiple ways. I think in comparison, especially to the first one, even though it's a very similar style, it's a little too cartoony. I feel like there maybe needed to be a little more highlights and shadows added to it to just give it a little more depth. It just sort of comes off, especially like on a screen, and this may not be the case in person, but in a small image on a screen, like on a phone, it came off as very cartoony. And the design itself is kind of inelegant, the way it fits within the space, too. And that was kind of what was maddening to me because with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, you had this central kind of graphic iconography around the songbirds and snakes. And it was very centralized in the book, so it kind of made a statement, and that had this sort of ripple effect, this sort of design effect coming out from it. With this cover, not only is that central iconography just not as strong, it's just not a very flowing design, and I think it's so structured, it starts to create this sort of negative space in the top of it underneath the title that really draws your eye in more than the subject itself. And what's even worse about it is those circles, the kind of concentric circle designs, have been broken down and they're not nearly as complete. So it creates even more emptiness. So you have what I feel like is not a particularly strong central icon on a kind of a weird offset from the center that creates this void. It is drawing my eye in. It's trapped negative space. And it's further accentuated by this kind of weird scattered pattern that doesn't help things. The good news is, even though I like to judge book covers, I don't really judge books by their cover. I really don't. A great book can have a so-so cover, and every designer has an off day. And again, one more time, this is simply my opinion.